Lads.
So 3 changes today, 2 enforced. McBurney out ill, so McGoldrick comes in. Ampadu can't play, so Norwood comes in, and then Lundstrom back in the 11 for Ben Osborne. I think probably a fair switch. Osborne's got a lot of energy, but not maybe as much guile and tenacity at finishing as Lundstrom does. So first half just ended, and all the talk in the beginning was of Mendy's clean sheet streak. So who better to break the clean sheet streak than the lad we got off a free transfer from Ipswich that's 32 years old. So yeah, I think we all saw that one coming. But great finish. Looked right. It was right off the Alan Nill training ground playbook. Really well worked corner, and Norwood taking 2 men with him to send Baldock for the cross back across. Berger with a great touch, and then McGoldrick with a finish that we'll probably be seeing on replay for quite some time. And then they did not stop the counting. The counting continued, and it continued with 2 Chelsea goals, both of which really just, I think, poor from a United perspective. I think it's further proof that we're missing Jack O'Connell at the back, and Enda Stevens really is just going to get slated, and he's not playing his right position anyway. So I don't know if it's totally fair to Enda, because we didn't get somebody in who could truly replace Jack at the back. So I think some fault there from tracking his man from Enda on the first goal. Abraham a bit lucky from a miss hit, but we've got to do better at the back. And then on the second one, I think there's really going to be an inquest in the changing room between Max Lowe losing his runner and Ramsdale, to use a fine English word, dithering and not really making a decision on to come for the ball or to not. And then another lucky break for Chelsea. Chilwell hits it right off his thigh and into the goal. Look a bit better going forward, but there's still too much passing sideways and passing backwards. Brewster's still nowhere to be found, but we just don't have that midfield link-up play to get him the ball, and I think we really have to address that. And it just makes me wonder why Luke Freeman's sitting on a bench at Nottingham Forest when, at least he would be an option for us, at least as a stopgap till January to figure out what we're going to do. Anyway, second half just about to start. So fingers crossed we find a match goal to bring Billy on, and I'm sure he'll solve the problem for us. Up the Blades.
So in the second half, the players re-emerged back on the pitch. No changes at half time. Doesn't usually happen for us anyway. And I felt quite optimistic. We're only 1 goal down, technically at this point. We've shown some flashes at the start of the match. We were looking pretty good, and we've beaten Chelsea before, so I felt quite optimistic. But what followed was the most woeful performance I've seen in a long time. We created absolutely nothing. No overloads at all. Looked just pathetic, blunt in attack. And suffered our heaviest defeat under Wilder in the Premier League as a result. At 68 minutes, we'd had 18% possession, which is terrible. We know our possession stats are low anyway. They're normally in the 30s, but 18%... we just weren't bothered. We weren't bothered about winning the ball, making tackles, looked disinterested, looked like we didn't have a clue again. Absolutely shocking. Eventually made some subs. Osborne and McBurney coming on for Norwood and Brewster. Brewster, if my reading's right, seemed to say it's not my fault, which, yes, in a way, we're not giving him the service he needs, but for me, he's not doing enough. Not doing enough off the ball. He's not putting in as much effort as our other strikers, and I was a bit annoyed, to be honest, with that reaction from him. He needs to do more. And at 76 minutes, we were finally punished. Again, created nothing up to this point. And Silva made it 3-1 with another unmarked header, which we really need to address very, very quickly. Heading into the far corner. We need someone else in this position. Enda can't play there. He's one of the best left-backs in the league. Put him back at left-back. Get someone from the under-23s if we need to. We need a big, strong, left-sided centre-half to fill that position. Please sort it out, Wilder, because it's not working at the minute. They nearly scored again just a minute later, Werner, and on 79 minutes he actually did score, and this was probably the worst goal of the lot. Lowe tackling everyone, facing his own goal, and inadvertently played a fantastic through ball to Werner to fire past Henderson. Defenders fire past Rammers. Our defenders didn't really have a chance to react, and it was, we're 4-1 down. 89 minutes, Baldock with probably our best effort of the match, which is saying something. Deflected shot that went over and led to a corner. From that corner, Chelsea go down the other end, and a dipping shot they nearly scored from. Ramos had to dip it over. Just looked absolutely terrible. 3 minutes injury time. No third substitute, which I found very strange, particularly with our performance being so bad. Bring Burke on. Why aren't we using Burke? He's such a good player. We need to do something different. We should have brought him on for me. In the end, beaten by an informed Chelsea, and Frank got his revenge after being outclassed and tactically outmastered last season.
So positives and negatives out of that one. Well, the positives are the way we started, particularly from the first minute up and at Chelsea, and it looked very promising. It looked like we were going to have a go and see what we could do. We scored a lovely goal, really, really good goal. Sander Berge, I think, was shooting and mishit it, but David McGoldrick expertly turned it in, and that was great. It gave us a lead and it gave us something to protect. A bit like at Liverpool, we had something to protect and something to hold on to against what is a side oozing quality. And sadly, like at Liverpool, it was our own downfall. It is a big, big negative, the way we are defending. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've probably been on every week to say we've left somebody free, somebody on their own. Today it was Tammy Abraham. He had the whole of London, never mind Stamford Bridge, to miss-hit a shot and somehow find a way to score. So that undid the good work of being 1-0 up. So 1-1 wouldn't have been so bad. And then that second goal. So Ben Chilwell actively tries to get away from the ball, and he just sort of runs into it. Lowe leaves him. Ramsdale looked like he was scared of a football, and we find ourselves 2-1 down. And let's face it, against a goalkeeper that's conceded one, game over. Positives of moving on from Man City is we were a bit more of attacking threat first half. Second half we weren't, other than the last 2 minutes. Not great at all. Another positive is you don't have to play next week. That means that we can't get beat next week. I don't have to come on here and have a rant at them next week. I'm slightly tongue-in-cheek with that. But no, on a serious side, we have played now Chelsea away, Liverpool away, Arsenal away, Manchester City at home, and Wolves at home, which are 5 games which most seasons you're not going to get anything out of. So it's from the other 3 where we're a little bit disappointed. But we have a good run of games coming up after the international break, which we really need to be getting points quick. Otherwise, we are going to be in trouble. I'm going to end with the biggest negative of all, and that is John Lundstram. Why was he playing? He was picked, and he may as well have sat next to me. He was useless garbage. I think it was 34 minutes on the clock before he even had a mention, yet alone anything else. Ryan Brewster was also equally disappointing, but I'm going to give him a little bit more time. He wants to play for Sheffield United, which is a little bit different. We've got to book our ideas up, got to book them up quick, got to book them up fast. But we will go again. Chris Wilder got the substitutions wrong again. It should have been McBurney on, Lundstram off, and Burke on, Brewster off. Now, we can all be armchair fans, but I really don't see what he was seeing with the substitutions he made. But he's in charge, I'm not, and I still trust him. So, slight moan, but we'll go again. Come on, Blades, we've got to be better after the international break, and I'm sure we will be.
Where do we go from here? It's not about going forward in some respects, it's about going back to the way we used to play, the style of play that got us promotion from 2 leagues, that got us into the Premier League. We're playing the way now that pundits and other fans of other clubs alike all thought we would play last season, our first return to the Premier League since 2007. We need to go back to that high intensity. Are we still doing overlapping centre-backs? Because it doesn't look like it. I don't really want to see Enda Stevens play at centre-back. He's the best left wing-back Sheffield United have ever had, but he's not a great centre-back. If we are going to persist with him in there, then Osborne needs to play at left wing-back because Max Lowe was arguably responsible for 2, if not 3, goals against Chelsea. Very disappointing performance from him. I'm sure he can get better, of course he can, but we don't have time to wait for that. We have the so-called difficult run out of the way. We've got winnable games coming up. If we go back to playing Wilder ball the Sheffield United way, I've absolutely no doubt we can get out of this rut. But it absolutely has to start, and of course that brings its own pressures. Where do we go from here then? We go back to playing the way
we know how to play, and that we can play.
Look at that ping from Norwood. Makes other teams look no good. We've got a team full of leaders. Alan Hill, Chris Wilder taught us. Yeah, there was us on the tour bus. Look how many goals Billy scored us. It's beautiful downtown Bromley. We are the boys from Shore.